We must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
Disseminate propaganda to influence people's minds, and this is a major function of the CIA.
Hussein and his regime are concealing their efforts to produce more weapons of mass destruction.
Alright, welcome back to Notify America. In the world of social media, really media in general, we've seen over the last few years a massive censorship regime grow and start taking hold. The elites, or whatever you want to call them, the establishment, political establishment in this country, want nothing more than control the narrative. They want a thought police. We saw this almost come to fruition last year with the misinformation or the disinformation governance board over at Homeland Security. Remember this lady?
Information laundering is really quite ferocious. It's when a huckster takes some lies and makes them sound precocious by saying them in Congress or a mainstream outlet. So disinformation's origins are slightly less atrocious.
Wanting to limit what we say, what we know, what we're allowed or permitted in their eyes to see and to read. Most people at this point realize it's happening, right? Realize it's true that there are gatekeepers to information. We saw it during the last election. A clear example of it, obviously Hunter Biden's laptop. That story, a coordinated campaign, was planned months before the story even dropped. How to handle the fallout from that story being published. Banned on all social media sites within a single day, and coordination with the U.S. intel community. You see, that's the thing. It's not just outside groups and companies doing this willy-nilly, but the tentacles of this beast appear to be coming from within government. We saw the first inklings of that being the case when the justification for blocking and banning the story was a letter that was penned, published, and signed by 50 former intel people, former CIA directors, FBI personnel, signed that letter, which the media then ran with and used as a hook for taking the story down. That's what they do. They need these middlemen, what people in the industry refer to as hooks, to point to as justification. Well, that was only the icing on the cake, obviously. Everyone saw and experienced what followed, the suppression that followed around the Cove during 2020, 2021. So what's happened since? Well, it took 1 year, only a single year, and the world's wealthiest person to begin tearing the system down, the censorship industrial complex. Elon Musk has thus far begun dismantling it, or attempting to uncover the organization behind all of this, an intricate network involving government agencies, think tanks, private media platforms, and activist organizations whose collective aim appears to be maintaining establishment narratives and financially undermining free speech platforms. They did it with Parler, completely removed it from the internet a few years ago, which was crazy. Remember, they had it removed from all the app stores, or both the app stores, so you couldn't download it anymore. Then Amazon dropped them as a client, so they were serverless. All of that happening in a single day. Now, how the hell do they get away with this, right? Well, they disguise their actions under the pretext of combating hate speech and misinformation. That's the playbook nowadays. They do it every time. They moved off the race card years ago and now just use misinformation as the pretext. Well, with the backing of Elon Musk, the release of the Twitter files, and trying to uncover who's responsible for all the ad boycotts against his new company, which, by the way, are still happening to this day. We just talked about this, his fight with Disney's CEO Bob Iger a few days ago, how Disney pulled their ad budget from Twitter due to what they say is misinformation. Well, because of stuff like that, Elon's had enough. He's not only dropping names, but he's suing them. He's begun filing lawsuits, and it's not just Elon. There is a wave of lawsuits from right-leaning outlets and proponents of free speech. Elon got the ball rolling, and it's been growing, folks. It feels like we could be turning the tide. Take a look at these. One of the suits targets the Center for Countering Digital Hate. That's the name of this group, which Musk says is a dark money activist group allegedly run by a former British intel operative. This is one of the organizations behind many of these deplatformings. In the lawsuit that X filed, they say our platform is a free public service largely funded by advertisers, arguing that the center's tactics hinder public access to free expression, impeding public dialogue. Now, since then, It's been like a waterfall of lawsuits, all right? One after the next has been brought, going after the organizations they say are behind all of this. For example, in October, Consortium News sued Newsguard, a company who rates website credibility. This is another middleman, all right? A hook that large media outlets can use as cover for why they deplatform somebody. For example, if Newsguard gives your company a bad rating, your company is then screwed. Here's their website. This is their homepage. They say it right on the homepage. Still going after Twitter, for example. So in this new lawsuit filed by Consortium News, they allege that Newsguard has been working in concert with the United States, coercing news organizations to alter viewpoints. The Biden administration also implicated in the lawsuit. Then we have another one in November where X filed a lawsuit against Media Matters. Another gem of a group. Elon brought this suit after he threatened a thermonuclear lawsuit was coming against them and any of their collaborators, which he said were involved in disinformation and like advertiser boycotts against his company. But here's where it gets interesting. The lawsuit alleges manipulative and deceptive tactics which prompted an investigation by Texas AG Attorney General Ken Paxton for potential fraudulent activity, which is what you need to combat this. You need the states who have more power than a civil lawsuit to actually investigate this, want to investigate this, and get to the bottom of it. Now, if they really are working with the intel agencies, which it appears that they are, appears that way, then this is, far from over, obviously. The only way to solve this would be to get somebody in the White House who understands it, cares about the issue, cares about free speech, isn't controlled by the lobby groups, okay, lobbyists and anyone else who gets in their ear, and is able to shut it down. Someone like Vivek Ramaswamy, possibly, who has spoken about this, actually made it one of the centerpieces of his campaign. And more recently, the state of Texas, along with the Daily Wire and the Federalist, sued the U.S. State Department for conspiring with Newsguard, there's that name again, to censor American media companies. The complaint contends that the government agency funded censorship technology designed to bankrupt domestic media outlets with disfavored political opinions. If that's true, that's a direct violation of the First Amendment. These people have gone full Orwellian. Then on November 30th, another lawsuit, another one, streaming video platform Rumble sued two liberal activists accusing them of collaborating with Media Matters to provide false information about their ad revenues. Rumble alleges material damage to their reputation and a market cap loss exceeding $185 million. So look, it feels like we're making progress. Free speech is making progress, and the return to normalcy appears to be possible, at least. But this is all because of Elon Musk. As much as people loved and bashed him since he bought Twitter, he has done a lot for free speech. If it weren't for him, where do you think we'd be right now? And we're making progress when these gatekeepers start lashing out. I don't know if you heard about this, but take a listen to Al Gore the other day, where he slipped and said the quiet part out loud, saying how non-mainstream media sources are a threat to democracy. Take a listen to this.
To one based on broadcasting and then moving on to the internet and to social media has disrupted the balances that used to exist that made representative democracy work much better. Because a free self-governing people rely on a shared base of knowledge that serves as a basis for reasoning together collectively. But if you have social media that is dominated by algorithms that pull people down these rabbit holes that are a bit like pitcher plants, these algorithms, they are the digital equivalent of AR-15s. They ought to be banned. They really ought to be banned. It's an abuse of the public forum. But when people are pulled down these rabbit holes, you know what's at the bottom of the rabbit hole? That's where the echo chamber is. And if you spend too much time in the echo chamber, what's weaponized is another form of AI, not artificial intelligence, artificial insanity. I'm serious.
So yeah, we're making progress, but it is far from over, folks. All right, that wraps up today's episode. If you enjoyed the video, got something out of it, press the like button. If you didn't, that's all right too. Either way, I appreciate you watching.